I thought it was my dream job. I must have been mad. A new restaurant, the Rabbit Warren, was about to open in the city where I lived, and I applied for a job there. Part of a growing chain throughout the country, the Rabbit Warren's big selling point, apart from top-class food, was that it was themed like a gentleman's club, and the waitresses, called hostesses, all wore bunny girl costumes. It must have been licensed by the Playboy Corporation, but while the bunnies in the original clubs were women, at all of the Rabbit Warren's restaurants the hostesses were men in female bodysuits. Not only did I apply for a job as a hostess, I was accepted. We got some training, of course, about a week's worth in fact. Most of the time it was about getting used to being in the suit, wearing the classic bunny girl costume, mine was sky blue, including matching bunny ears and fluffy tail, and practicing walking in high heels. Only the last 2 days were spent learning the art of being a waitress. A lot of people have the wrong idea about bodysuits. They think they're just a thin skin you slip into, wear for 24 or 48 hours, and then take off. No, those are technically masks. Bodysuits, while thin, are high-tech, and those provided by the company, Cuniculus Holdings plc, which owns the Rabbit Warren, are top of the range and need a technician to install you in them, supervised by a doctor. These suits can be worn on a long-term basis. The contract you sign with the company requires you to live as a woman 24/7/365, and the company retains the key to your suit to ensure this. Once you're locked in the suit, there's no going back. Not that I wanted to go back. I had long had a fascination for bunny girls, and though I was a male, but not at all macho, I often fantasized about being one. Now in my little flat on the first evening of training week I surveyed myself, wearing my bunny costume, in the full-length mirror in the door of the wardrobe, and I liked what I saw. I appeared, not as a ravishing beauty perhaps, but as an attractive young woman in her early 20s. My face was squarish, but smooth, topped by very light auburn haircut in a short, feminine style, with a parting on the right and the hair on the left of it rolled back from my forehead. My bust was about size 38C, which looked good squeezed into the satin corset. Waist could be a bit thinner, but I definitely had one, with nicely flaring hips, not exaggerated but emphasized by the fluffy cottontail of the costume. My legs were shapely in the tights, with good firm thighs, necessary if I was going to be on my feet most of the time. I looked in point of fact like the sort of girl I could confidently have taken home to meet my parents. Mom would be charmed by what she would describe as a sensible girl, open and friendly, but level-headed, not giggly or weepy. Dad would slap me on the back, "Well done, boy, you've picked a good one there." Then he would add, "Course, I don't know what she sees in you." "Oh thanks Dad, always have to spoil it." But now when I went back home it would be, not Mom, Dad, I'd like you to meet my girlfriend Delia, but Mom, Dad, I'm Delia now. Would that be a problem? Well, that was for another day. It was the company that named me Bunny Delia. We couldn't choose our new names, just as we couldn't choose what bodysuit we were going to get. It wasn't the name I would have chosen for myself, but I could live with it. The first day of work came quickly enough. I was very nervous in spite of the training I had received, still tottering a bit on my high heels. My first customers were a pleasant middle-aged couple. I could somehow sense the man surreptitiously checking out my body, and the woman surreptitiously appraising me for how convincing I was as a female, but mostly they just chatted or ate. After they'd finished they left a reasonable-sized tip, which went into the pot which would be shared out between us hostesses and the kitchen staff. No problems there. The next, however, was when disaster struck. Bunny Mother, that is to say the floor manager, assigned me, along with Bunny Claire, to an office group over to one side, 9 men and 4 women. OMG, it was a group from the office where I had been working until a month ago. I knew them all, I had worked alongside most of them. Worst of all, the group included my last manager, Gareth. He had always been belittling of me and highly critical of my work. When I left that job rather suddenly, and told no one what I was going to do next, most people would have assumed it was because Gareth and I had fallen out and I was trying to get away from him. Well, that was partly true. Keep smiling, I told myself. None of them know it's you. They can't recognize you in the bodysuit. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Rabbit Warren. I am your hostess, Bunny Delia, and this is Bunny Claire. We shall be serving you tonight. Things went okay to begin with. The group was lively, as I would have expected, but gradually a lot of whispering developed, centered mostly round the women, which died down and stopped whenever I approached. It was almost as if they were whispering about me. Bunny Claire, whose boobs were as big as mine if not bigger, accidentally brushed Michael's head with them as she bent over to place some dishes on the table. Oops, so sorry. To general laughter. And then Gareth ordered a bottle of wine, a Rioja. I held out the bottle for his approval. Fine. Pour me a glass, Bunny Delia, or should I say Colin? I was so shocked I dropped the bottle. It smashed on the floor, and the wine went everywhere over my legs, and of course all over Gareth's trousers. Both my hands flew up to my mouth. Gosh, I'm sorry, Gareth, I blurted without thinking. Whoops went up from the table. You see, crowed Karen. It is our Colin. Bunny Mother appeared at the table, proffering apologies and offering complimentary drinks, and to pay cleaning bills. Out of the corner of her mouth she hissed at me, "Get this mess cleaned up. And keep smiling." As I cleared away the broken bottle and spilt wine, Bunny Claire continued serving. Underneath, my face felt as if it were burning with shame, which translated into a light flush on my cheeks, one of the bodysuit's remarkable properties. But after I had cleaned up I had to go back to serving at the same table, to my great embarrassment. I felt they were all sniggering at me. And after the meal was finished, there were the official photographs. Oh God! The Rabbit Warren doesn't allow diners to take photos in the restaurant. Instead, it provides an official photographer, especially for a recently opened restaurant. Diners get a range of professionally taken photos to keep. The company gets a selection they can use for publicity. Oh God, this was really embarrassing. I had to sit on the guys' laps, put my arms round their necks and, mostly, give them a kiss on the cheek. Some had the decency to look embarrassed, others would have broad smiles or big grins on their faces. Gareth whispered in my ear, "I'd like to get you on your back, Delia, see how you really perform as a girl." He also managed to pinch my bottom. Lindsay also insisted I should sit on her knee, and then gave me a full snog, to whoops from the others. Always suspected she was a lesbian. Karen and Caroline each posed alongside me, selfie style, and then in a foursome with Bunny Claire, who was also having some photos taken, though I was definitely the main focus for this group. Finally, Kathy. Kathy had me draped over her knees, and raised her right hand as if to give me a spanking. And then, she did. 6 hard swats to my rear end. I could even hear the others cheering. I had never been more humiliated. These pictures would be all over Facebook tomorrow. How was it I had not realized that our name tags gave our old male names as well as our bunny names? The tags were worn at waist level so that diners could read them easily. Mine said Bunny Delia, formerly Colin. The next morning found me, dressed in my bunny girl costume, standing before his desk in the office of the local manager, Mr. Scarlatti. I tried to adopt a contrite posture, with my head bowed and my hands clasped in front of me. I even batted my eyelashes a few times. "I'm really very sorry, sir. I suppose this means I'm going to get fired?" Mr. Scarlatti chewed on his cigar. Health and safety rules did not apply to the back office. Fired? You crazy? Of course you aren't gonna get fired, we're gonna hold you to your contract. You gotta work your cute little ass off to pay for all the damage. Mr. Scarlatti was a New Yorker, or at least he liked people to think he was. He leaned back in his chair and surveyed me with narrowed eyes. "In any big organization you gonna get one dumb klutz. Looks like you just claimed that position here, Delia. Just remember any breakage's gonna come out of your wages. Now get out." "Yes, sir. Thank you, sir." I scurried out of the office as fast as I could scurry, considering I was wearing high heels. In the doorway one of my heels caught in the carpet and I almost tripped over. I managed to right myself in time and was through the door and shut it before Mr. Scarlatti could say anything further. I leaned back against the wall in the corridor and exhaled. Well, how did it go? Claire was in the corridor waiting for me. I heaved a big sigh. I'm not going to get the sack. There, I told you wouldn't. They've invested too much money to get rid of us that quickly. He called me a dumb klutz. That's a very American expression. Look, it does get better from here on. Trust me. I gave her a wan smile. Is this your dream job too? You bet. I know, when we've both got a free evening, why don't we go for a quiet drink somewhere and have a good chat? Klutzy Delia. And she giggled. I was beginning to like Claire. And she was right, things did get better after that. I worked my cute little arse off and became as efficient a hostess as anyone could wish for. But once you get a reputation, it sticks to you like Velcro. Claire had given me my nickname. From now on I was always going to be known as Klutzy.